How important is time in your culture?
Okay, so time relating to business stuff and like just like corporate stuff, like stuff in general is pretty like important. So like if you had like a job interview, you would of course have to get there on time and everything like that. And in that scenario, time is money. But if you're talking about like going to a party, like a naming ceremony, for example, like people would say, oh, it's at this time. Let's say this time was at 3, but people would just be getting there at 5. So in that case, it's not really about the time. It's just like people are always late to events like that.
Right.
But like, were you gonna say something?
No, okay, I get what you're saying. So like, say that you went to a job interview, like in Nigeria, then. Like, would it be offensive that you came in late? Like, how would they look at you if you showed up, let's say, like 15 minutes or 30 minutes late?
They would look at you as if you weren't ready for the job. Like, they wouldn't be offended because, I mean, you're the one looking for the job, but, like, they're not going to take you seriously anymore. Well, most places.
Got you. Okay. Would you, like, apologize for being late? Like, would you explain yourself and say, like, oh, I was late because for whatever reason?
Of course, like, you would explain yourself, but just the fact that you were late just means that you, like, whatever the circumstances may be, you were late. So they'll probably they will look at you different, but I mean, I guess depending on your explanation, it might change slightly, but you were still late, so.
So then, like, if you were to say that you did apologize, like, let's just say that was the scenario. You walk into a job interview, you're like 15, 30 minutes late. What do you say? Do you say, like, oh, I'm sorry, like,
yeah,
and then take, like, but, like, would you take personal, like, would you take responsibility for, like, the fact that you were late? Would you say, I was late because, like, there was traffic, or, like, because, okay, I'll give you an example. Like, in Spanish, for example, they would say, like, I mean, there's a saying where, like, the sheets got stuck to me, which is, like, you know, literally the sheets can't get stuck on you. But, like, that would mean, like, well, I maybe overslept, or maybe I didn't want to get up. Like, I'm lazy, but you would say, like, the sheets got stuck to me. So, like, when you apologize, would you say, like, that it's your fault, basically?
Yeah, you would say it's your fault so you could, like, show, like, humility just to earn some more, like, I don't know, to earn, like, because you're already late and they're already, like, looking at you in a negative way, if to just apologize and, like, admit your fault would be, like, them looking at you back in, like, a positive way.
Okay. So then, I have a different question. You basically answered my questions for that part, so thank you. But, so, like, say that I were to ask you to, like, arrange the months in order, right? Just in your head. Not, like, actually. Just in your head to arrange the months in order. And if I were to say, like, what's the month in between, or what are the 2 months in between April and July? Like, first of all, what are the 2 months in between April and July?
May and June.
Okay. When you thought of that, how did you think of that? Like, how did you arrange it in your head so that you would know, like, in order?
So, I guess picturing it in my head, I would picture it from, like, the left to the right, as in, like, the months are moving.
Horizontally?
Yeah, horizontally, definitely.
Would you feel weird, like, thinking about it up to down, like, vertically? Like, January being the first month at the top,
I don't
like...
think I would be able to do it. Like, I would be able to do it, vertically, but that's not my, like, I wouldn't just randomly do that.
Okay. So then if I were to say, like, what's the month in between September and November? Think of it vertically. If you were to think visually, vertically, about the months, what's the month in between September and November?
October.
I mean, so you had like the same reaction time, more or less. But you said that it would feel weird thinking about it that way, right?
It felt weird thinking about it that way. I literally had to like move my head from up to down to think about it.
Okay. So then...
And I didn't like arrange it either. I just knew that it was October.
Okay. Yeah, we kind of have that memorized. We don't really have to think about it anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. So then this is a different question. So like, I don't really want to give you the answer for this either because you'll get what I'm saying, but so when you think about time, like in your own space, like spatially, in your own space, your own body space, how would you like gesture towards the past and the future?
Okay, so in Nigeria, my culture is like, I come from the Yoruba tribe. I don't know about the other tribes, but when we're talking about like, I guess like the past, the present, and future, so like the present, we kind of just, yeah, I guess we do point down, just like it was like today or something, like we would point down, not necessarily with the index finger, but like, yeah, we just point down to like indicate, I guess. And then for future, we do point forward, or sometimes we just do like it's like a little salute action. It's not really, it's like moving two fingers in like moving two fingers in like a circle, just like right in front of you. So just like, oh, tomorrow, something like that. And then for the past, that's like, I guess a different one. We like, I guess like we could point back, but usually we just, because of my environment then, like we just like, if we were talking about like, oh, that happened like since a long time ago, like we would just snap, like, okay, so like your elbow would be like at a 90-degree angle and it just snaps. Like you would be talking and then you would just go like, oh, that happened like a long time ago. So like you would snap your fingers like a couple of times to just.
Hi Yana, thank you for agreeing to join in this interview. Can you briefly introduce yourself, please?
Hello, my name is Yana. I am of Ukrainian origin. I came to the U.S. about 9 years ago. I come from Ukraine. It's in Eastern Europe. Very kind of small country, not really known, but very interesting culture.
So Ukrainian is your native language,
yes.
Correct? Okay. So today I'm going to ask you some questions about the concept of time. So the first question I'm going to ask you is, how important is time in your culture?
It's important, but at the same time, not really. If it's for business, it's very important. Like, people expect you to be on time. But if it's for a party or like personal date or something, like it's expected of you to be late. So people don't get mad if you're like 15 or like 10 minutes late. But if you have a party at 7 p.m., like everybody knows that nobody's gonna show up at 7, so probably at 8, like the earliest that people will show up.
So from my understanding, at social events, lateness is okay, right?
Yeah.
But in formal events, or
formal events, no, it's not acceptable.
Not acceptable.
You have to be on time, well, to show respect. But if it's a party or something, people understand. I think it's similar in many cultures.
Okay. In English, time is money is a metaphor that explains our perspective of how important it is. Are there any phrases or metaphors that portray the concept of time?
Of time? Well, we also have this, like, the same metaphor. Time is money. It's,
You do?
Yeah, for the business, or like if you really need something, your time is really money. But we also have a saying that better late than never. I think it's same in American culture. Like if you show up to a party like 30 minutes before the ending, people will still appreciate it because you dedicated your time for them and you showed some respect.
So even if you're late for social events, they're not going to consider it rude.
No.
They're actually going to welcome you and thank you for coming, even
Yep.
though you're really late.
Yep.
Yeah? Okay. But again, if you're late to a formal event, would that be the same reaction?
No, people would be probably irritated, but if you're late, you're late. Like, you can't do anything about it. So just come in. Like, don't give excuses. Nobody cares about the excuses because you're late. Just come in and participate. Or
For your understanding, how different is it from American culture? So if you're late to an interview in America, right, like, it's really bad. But what about in Ukraine?
probably wouldn't be so bad. Well,
No?
would still be bad, but not so much. People probably would
Not as critical?
Yeah, not as critical. They would understand because lateness is acceptable, is okay.
It's a
but
common thing.
Yeah, it's a common. It's to a certain point, but not so critical.
Would you apologize and explain yourself, or would you not?
Of course, I would apologize and give maybe like a brief explanation. Like, I'm sorry, I'm late. I got stuck in traffic, or something very common, not too personal, just to show respect. But if you start going into like very detail, oh my cat died or something, I had to bring him to a veterinarian or something like that. It's
like, can excuses be disrespectful?
no, excuses are always like acceptable, but
Okay.
to a certain point, like just be plain and like straightforward. Like, okay, I'm late because I got stuck in traffic.
Don't make
That's
it like
Yeah.
necessarily long. Okay.
Yeah. Nobody really cares about that.
Okay. I think you actually explained that. So, okay. Do you think horizontally, vertically, or any other type of way when you think about time? Because in English, we think horizontally with the months of the year from left to right. Do you consider it horizontally, vertically?
Yeah, I also think horizontally, like from left to right, like when you look like at the timeline.
Is the past more important or the present in Ukrainian culture?
In Ukrainian culture, definitely present, but past also plays a big role. People like to go back to past and say, oh, this happened, and like it does play a big role, but people try to focus more on the present.
I got it. How do you think about time spatially in relation to your body or anything else? Do you think of time as something spatial at all, or not necessarily?
Haven't really thought about that.
Yeah,
But
it's okay.
spatially, like what? I really have no clue.
It's okay. It's okay. I can't think of an example either. It's okay, Professor Sutil. We'll understand us.
I'm very bad with like.
Will understand us. No, it's okay. Okay. Before we wrap up the discussion, or more like an interview, so basically, what is the concept of time in Ukraine again? So just tell me or explain to me what the perception is on time in Ukraine. What is the general understanding that people have on time? Like,
the lifestyle in Ukraine is not as fast as it's
okay.
here, so time is not really valuable. But everybody is like the pace of life is a lot slower. So time does not have
that's actually crucial. That's actually something critical that I should take note for this interview. So it's not as fast.
It's not as fast, but if you have like an interview or like an appointment, like people expect you to be on time. But if it's something personal, or nobody is in a rush, so time is not really money, but at the same time it is.
Just because we're college students, so obviously you didn't go to college in Ukraine, but what about like assignments? So you know how we have to submit assignments on time, otherwise it's late. Some professors just don't accept it at all. Like, what would your professor or potential
I remember like
teachers do?
like back in school, there was not a problem with submitting work a little bit later. Teachers would understand. Okay.
In secondary school, right?
Yes.
Okay, we can compare it to secondary school. So your teachers didn't really care if it was late.
Deadline was never an issue. Like there was, I'd say there were no deadlines. So there was a project that we submitted. Okay, but to a certain point, everything is to a certain point. So there's no deadline.
Do you have friends in Ukraine that go to college?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know anything about how like the professor's authority is in the classroom? Like, would they consider it really rude if you walk into their classroom really late?
No, they don't care.
They don't care?
No, because there's the university system is very messed up.
It is.
Yeah, so like people just students just don't show up to classes. They just come for midterms or finals. if they've
And that's the norm, right?
yeah, it's normal. Like even some professors even like fight with students with the students. Like, come on, if you're not gonna show up to class, just let me know. I'm not gonna show up to class either. So that's how it is. But if there is exam and you fail, I'm sorry, it's your responsibility for failing it.
Thank you for agreeing to interview for this project.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure being your interview.
This is Yana, my friend Yana, and this is Jenny.
Hi, Miss Satia. I remember you.
Miss Satia, Professor.
Professor. Oh. Professor Satia. I miss your classes.
Thank you.